honored to have as our speaker this evening our Chief of Police, Tom Harris. But before Chief Harris takes the floor, I'd like to say a few words. We're all here tonight because we're concerned. Concerned that the crime rate in our community and in our nation during the past decade has outstripped the population growth 11-1. Even as I stand speaking to you, right now, somewhere, a home is being burglarized. A purse is being snatched. A woman is being mugged or attacked. I have here a letter from a woman who wanted to be here with us tonight, but she was afraid to walk in the streets after dark. She didn't feel safe. We'd all like to feel safe in our homes, on the street, but we don't. And the ones who feel the most vulnerable among us are the women. As, for instance, the woman who wrote this letter. Now, Chief Harris has promised to talk to us tonight about protection against crime, how we may walk in the streets without fear, as it were. Chief Harris?
Chief Harris, that letter our chairman received, a case in point. My wife used to go out shopping late at night, but now she's afraid to go out at night.
We used to have a social meeting that met every Thursday night, but we had to give it up because our members were afraid to come.
Chief Harris, what's the police department doing about this?
Yes, what can be done so we won't feel so insecure?
Ladies and gentlemen, I share your concern. Everyone is a potential victim. Crime is an increasing problem. But crime and the fear of crime are two separate problems. Your police department is doing a great deal about the former. But you must help us with the latter. Your police department is constantly improving and increasing our protection of the community to the utmost limits of our manpower and technology. We're placing more patrols in alleys and back streets. We're using civilians in clerical jobs to free more officers for patrol duty. And we're working for improved street lighting, an important area where community groups such as yours can be of great help. There's good reason to be cautious, but no one should be so frightened that the fear of crime erodes the very quality of life. The fear of walking in the street must not prevent people from enjoying their city. It mustn't give them a fortress mentality. The more people on the streets, the less the possibility of street crime. The criminal looks for the lone pedestrian. Women are admittedly more vulnerable than men, but they are by no means defenseless. Tonight we shall together examine some of the most important aspects of self-protection. The first thing to remember is that crime prevention is the best defense. The criminal who already has the intent to commit a crime must also be given the opportunity in order to carry it out. You, must deny him that opportunity. That's crime prevention in a nutshell. A woman returning from a shopping trip, her arms loaded, is a favorite prey for the purse snatcher. A woman who carries her handbag carelessly is inviting trouble, but she can prevent such an incident from happening. She can deny the purse snatcher the obvious opportunity and avoid losing her belongings if she'll stuff her purse into the grocery bag out of sight. Don't try to fight a purse snatcher. After all, whatever is in your purse isn't worth the risk of personal injury, and the thief is only interested in your valuables. Incidentally, it's a good idea never to carry large amounts of cash or valuables. And always know the descriptions of the articles in your handbag, especially the credit card numbers. If you are accosted by a purse snatcher, remember his description and call the police at once. A little foresight can save a woman's purse, and there are many other such precautionary measures. Of course, you have to use your own judgment as to the areas you must be in after dark. But if you are alone, it's best and more prudent to avoid deserted or poorly lighted streets, even if it means a detour for you. Stay near lighted areas and avoid walking near bushes or other shadowy spots. Always walk closer to the street than to the buildings, and be aware of doorways and alleys. If you hear footsteps behind you, look around. Don't assume that every man walking behind you is following you, but do be aware of him. However, if what you see alarms you in any way, look around for a store, a gas station, a hotel, or a lighted house where you might run for help if necessary. When you travel around the city at night alone, wait for the bus at a well-lighted bus stop. Even in cities with a subway system, it's advisable for a woman alone after dark to take a bus. The bus has a sort of built-in security, its driver. If you have any reason to feel at all uneasy, sit near him. When you're traveling alone, notice if anyone is watching you or seems to be following you. Always be aware of the other people around you and try to anticipate trouble. It's all right to be suspicious until your suspicion is alleviated. If you take a taxi to get home late, and it's a good idea to do so if you can, ask the driver to walk you to your door, or at least wait until you're inside. And make it a habit always to have your keys ready in your hand so you don't have to stay any length of time outside the door looking for them. Remember, always be aware. Anticipating trouble is the safest and surest way of preventing it.
Chief Harris, what about carrying some kind of weapon? Wouldn't that be a good idea?
No, I don't think so. Most weapons, whatever they may be, are more dangerous to the woman carrying them than they are to her attacker. Hatpins and hammers do not offer protection to the average woman because most men are strong enough to disarm her and use her own weapon against her. Prevention is still better than any weapon. Let's examine some more common sense precautions you can take. If you live in an apartment house with a self-service elevator, never get into it when it's going down to the basement. You don't know who may be down there. Don't get into the elevator with one unknown man alone. And always stand near the control panel so you can prevent anyone from stopping the elevator. And so you can ring for help if need be. When you go to your apartment door, always have your keys in your hand. If you should return to your home or your apartment and find the door unlocked or open, do not enter. Don't risk surprising a housebreaker. Go to the manager or a neighbor and call the police at once. If you have a job which keeps you working late and you park your car in an unattended lot, be sure it's always locked, not only to prevent theft, but also to prevent someone from hiding in the back seat. Take a look in back before you get in and have your key ready in your hand. Lock the doors and keep the windows rolled up. There's always at least one unlocked car in any lot. Keep your gas tank well filled, so you don't stall in a strange place. If you do have a mechanical breakdown, try to park under a light. Stay in your car with the hood up or a handkerchief tied to the antenna. Keep the windows closed and the doors locked, and wait until the police arrive. If you talk to passers-by offering assistance, roll down the window only enough to be heard. These are some of the basic crime prevention measures you should take. The overwhelming number of women who get into trouble do so because they ignored these basic precautions. You'll undoubtedly be able to think of many more, because after all, you are women. Consider it a test of your imagination to do so. If unlikely though it may be, you should be attacked by a man, you can fight back effectively and escape. In most cases, the attacker of a woman assumes his victim to be helpless. Pure shock and surprise, if you do fight back, is often enough to scare him off. And that is your purpose, just to scare him off. So let's be rational about your chances of being attacked. They are very slim. Of course, it is possible. And there are steps you can take if it should happen. There are a few points at which a man is most vulnerable. They're easy to remember. Visualize a chart of the human body. The vulnerable areas are the eyes and nose, the throat, the solar plexus, the groin, the single fingers, the knees, the shin bone, and the toes and arch of the foot. Never forget, there's only one situation in which a woman should fight an assailant, and that is if he tries to do her bodily harm. Suppose a woman unwisely has chosen to walk alone through a park after dark. How can she defend herself using her knowledge of these vulnerable spots if she's attacked from behind? Well, first of all, scream. Scream as if your life depended on it. It might. And as soon as you can, run. Let's examine step by step what you might do. Use the back of your head. Slam it into his face. Jab your elbow as hard as you can into his solar plexus. If he puts his hand over your mouth, bite him with all your might. Kick back on his shin and stomp with your heel on his instep. Hit him with your handbag in the face as forcefully as you can. From my experience, a woman's handbag usually contains enough miscellaneous items to make it a formidable weapon. If your assailant attacks you from the front, there's a whole new set of defense actions you can use. First of all, again, scream. Being face-to-face with your attacker gives you an advantage. Many of his most vulnerable spots are within your reach. Stomping down hard on his instep with your heel may give you a little room. Use your nails. Scratch his face, his eyes. Dig in. Drive your knee into his groin. It's extremely painful and will incapacitate him if enough force is used. Hit him across the throat, or across the nose on the bridge or just below. All blows are equally painful, and as soon as you can, run. So far, you've been using what I call your empty-handed weapons. Your nails, your knee, your heel. There are some little items women carry in their handbags that can make effective weapons, but only if you happen to have them in your hand. Don't go rummaging for them in your purse. Remember, scream. To break a wrist hold, twist your arm against the thumb. It's the weakest point, and jerk away. You're then free to use your weapon, perhaps a bunch of keys. Go for the face. Rake them across your attacker's eyes. A comb might be useful, a nail file, a pencil. Hairspray or cologne squirted in the eyes is effective. And certain commercial spray devices, if used correctly, where it's legal. And remember, run as soon as you can. If you're at home alone at night, be sure all windows and doors are locked and keep your shades drawn. Some other common sense rules to remember. Don't ever open the door to a stranger, man or woman, no matter who it may be. Telegram can be slipped under the door. Deliveries can be left outside. And you can offer to make a call for anyone who asks to use your telephone. In case of an emergency, when a repairman must be admitted, always check his identification before letting him in. But should you be confronted with an intruder, scream.
Ah! Help! Help! Ah! 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 Help, police! Ah!
Remember, the best weapon is the weapon at hand.
Ah! Help! Somebody call the police! Help! Ah!
If you think no one may have heard your screams, break the window.
Ah! Help!
People will normally react to the sound of breaking glass followed by your screams when they might ignore the screams alone. And yell, help, police. Leave no doubt that you're in trouble. And remember, too, if you see it, report it. If you witness a crime being committed, call the police at once. A simple call when you think someone may need help could save a life. Even if you're not sure, call. The police officers much prefer to answer a needless call than not being called in a real emergency. As you can see, you are far from helpless. Remember, your attacker is only a human being. He has weak spots and is vulnerable just as you are. The actions I've advised you to use in your self-defense are not very pretty, but neither is being attacked. No action is too violent. No move too excessive when it comes to protect yourself against an attack. An attack that could otherwise result in your injury or death. So should you ever be attacked, scream, scratch, bite, and kick. Your object is not to destroy the man, but to gain time to get away. As you can see, the acts of self-defense are not difficult to master. You need not become an expert in judo or karate. Taking up karate may do wonders for your figure, but don't rely on it to do much else for you. I am purposely not advocating that you carry special weapons. As I've said, I think they're more dangerous to you than to your assailant. Besides being illegal, such weapons can be too easily taken away from you and used against you. Use your imagination once again. Think of a few situations where your own weapon might be used against you. Used against you. Used against you. Judo, anyone? The basic protection of any community is a well-trained, professional police department. But the citizens do have a role in their own defense against crime. Remember, crime prevention is the best defense of all. And remember, too, that in any situation in which you might find yourselves, you are far from defenseless.